Crypto Vibes, Tiger, Victor. Hi, what is up, everybody? So I'm going to be interviewed in this Instagram Live, and this is for a podcast called Get Back Up. And you guys can ask questions too, but most of my focus will be on answering Nick's questions. Okay? So that is why, if I'm ignoring you, because I'm listening to Nick. Okay? All right, Nick.
All right, you ready? All right, so I have Chelsea Penner here with Get Back Up. And Chelsea, if you would be so kind to go into some of the businesses you are involved in. I know you do a bunch of different things. So if you want to just kind of name off some of the things you do.
Yeah, of course. Yes, Nick is correct. I am an entrepreneur. I am involved in several businesses. I founded a tech startup called Belinity, where people can interact with influencers. And I came up with the idea 8 years ago. So we ran into a lot of challenges where people said, what are influencers? And investors didn't think that people would give a crap about influencers. So, and the technology was ahead of its time as well. My idea was ahead of technology. But I just found a CEO, and hopefully that'll be going well soon. We're beta testing. And then I'm also involved in cryptocurrency. I guess you could call me somewhat of a cryptocurrency influencer. And I am also an investor in cryptocurrency, believer in cryptocurrency. You know, it's having a rough time right now, but cryptocurrency is a long-term hold, so right. People will get upset. Oh, I'm losing money. Well, no, you didn't really lose any money unless you sold during a dip, So it's a good time to buy cryptocurrency, and I think 2020 is a good year for cryptocurrency. I've also been a dating coach and a love mentor for about 7 years, and I really love this. I'm passionate about being a love mentor because I feel like the world needs more love, and I feel like we don't have a lot of education surrounding love in our schools and even church sometimes, because church is focused on someone that you think is up in the sky, and as opposed right. As opposed to loving yourself and loving others, as Jesus actually intended the message to be originally. So I do believe that self-love is number one, and I believe that leads to overflowing your cup and having more love for others and the world. So I also do investment consulting, which varies, mortgages. I help people with film finance. Film finance is one of my favorite, and the list goes on. So yeah, I do a lot of different things because I'm an entrepreneur and I can. And I feel that, if you have a lot of skill sets, then why not use them, And
I agree.
If I have fun doing it all, then why not do it all? So I do have more passions. For example, being a love mentor, I feel like I'm most passionate about spreading that message. However, it's one of the most difficult because of the ego. The ego gets in the way and fights back and thinks they don't need to learn about it. And, so it's one of the toughest businesses, but it is, I hold it close to my heart.
That makes sense. I agree with you. Well, cool. You really are involved with a lot, and that's really awesome for, especially this day and age. It's a little bit easier to be involved with probably more things at once. But no, that's awesome. I know with this podcast. So my podcast is centered around optimism and self-motivation, also self-love. And so that's
Great.
the one thing I kind of wanted to focus on, because I've been following you for a little while, but I love all of your stuff. But I think this episode is going to be based more around the love mentor, just because I believe that, self-confidence is a big deal when it comes to either getting into a relationship or even having a long-term relationship. So
Right.
I just wanted to get your opinion on that. So I guess I'll just kind of get into some questions. So when
Yeah,
you do coaching, is that correct?
that's correct.
All right.
I do coaching.
Do you coach women or men, or do you do both?
I do both. I have a lot of value to add to both men and women.
Hmm.
What's happened so far with my business is more men pay for it.
Hmm.
However, a lot of women reach out and want my help, but usually don't want to pay for it.
Hmm.
And which is kind of it's interesting because it's like if I went to their job and I said, "Can you give me your services for free?" They would be offended. So it's
Yeah.
kind of ironic, but I try to give as much free advice as possible on my social media and YouTube. Um, but I do have to make a living. So I do find that more men are willing to pay for it.
Sure.
But although a lot of men act well, and they think that time is free, but at least
Exactly.
they're more likely to pay for it. So
Sure, that makes sense. I
yeah.
guess I would feel from the women's side they want more of a personal advice, right? Is that probably more of what you get?
Yeah, they're like, hey, I just had a major breakup and I'm really sad and I don't know how to get over it. And they want me to give them like a one sentence answer that will change their
Yeah,
life. And that doesn't exist.
right.
Even 1 hour session with me won't fix everything, but it would help a lot.
Hmm.
And that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time to invest in helping someone else in exchange for me giving my energy,
Hmm.
so that obviously I need to be compensated for that. But if they don't want to pay, I'm okay with that too. And I just refer them to cheaper options. There's a
Sure.
cheaper option of I have a 1 hour long course on how to save your relationship, which also helps you with relationships in general and become a better person as well. And that's on my website, lovementorchelsea.com. So
Hmm.
that's a cheaper option than an initial consultation with me. And I also say, that if you want free advice, that's perfectly fine. But I have all of that in my social media. All my
Hmm.
social media is what I'm willing to give you and the world. It's my gift to the world because I do want to help make the world a better place. But the one-on-one stuff, it's very time consuming because there's no one word answer. I have to ask a lot of questions about who they are, where they came from, what their fears are, what insecurities they hold, and for what reason, et cetera, et cetera. There's just too much to just give. I can't give everybody a one word, one sentence miracle for them to just flip a switch and just, get over their breakup. That's
Right.
impossible. That's like saying there's a magic pill that will help everybody lose weight or get all these muscles. It's just not feasible and it's not possible. It's a process. And if you're willing to invest in yourself, it's a beautiful process.
Hmm.
And I love helping people with the process of learning how to love themselves and learning about themselves so that they can be better for their partner or they
Hmm.
can, heal themselves or, whatever it is that their motivation is with seeking help from me, I can help them with.
Do you see that that's a big trend? Is that with hardships in relationships, is it a lot about self-love and self-confidence issues?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Self-love is the foundation of all relationships. Self-love, self-love. I think it's the one thing that we really struggle with the most here on planet Earth.
I agree. Uh-oh. Hey,
not
Chelsea,
judging,
hold
no
on,
separation.
you're breaking up. Hold on. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
It's non-separation. So what that means is it starts with yourself. If you have separation within yourself, meaning you're judging a side of yourself, if you don't love something about yourself, then you're going to project that onto others and the world.
Mhm.
So if imagine the wars that we have and the fights that happen and the violence, that's all stemming from a separation internally that someone has with themselves. It's like a civil war within themselves, but they're projecting that physically. And so anytime there's huge issues in a relationship, it usually stems from a self-love issue.
Mhm.
And of course, there's surface level issues like communication and not understanding the opposite sex. There's a lot of stuff. I need to write a book, to be honest with you, because it's not even the conversation we have right now that'll be half hour.
Mhm.
It won't even barely touch the surface.
Right.
But it does all begin with the fundamental aspect of self-love. Because once you have love for yourself, it's easy to love others. It's
Mhm.
easy to love your enemies. It's easy to love the world. I gave you an example of this, and this is going to be a very controversial example. People aren't
Mhm.
going to like this example because people have a lot of opinions. But
Go for it.
Kanye, Kanye is a very awoken man. He is the epitome of awake. And
Mhm.
what that means is he has a lot of self love. And now, people that are awoken know that they sometimes sound crazy to other people, just like Jesus, which is why he was crucified, just like Gandhi and Buddha.
Sure.
People that have a lot of self love and are awoken sound crazy to people that aren't. Kanye is like that. So Kanye will say stuff like, I love myself and I'm God. And people think he's effing crazy.
Right.
He's really not. He's just an awoken state and a higher vibration and knows things that the mass majority of people are asleep to and do not understand. So he loves himself so much, and he's actually so evolved that he supports Trump. Now
Mhm.
let's think about that for a second. Let's think about that. Because people love to hate Trump, and it's so easy to hate Trump.
Mhm.
But I'm going to give you some inside intel. Trump is actually I guess he's playing a character. He wants people to hate him because it's actually causing us to come together and it's causing us to vote. We had most amount of votes this last, you know, election in November.
Mhm.
It's working. What he's doing is working. And it's interesting that hate motivated us to come together. Isn't that fascinating?
Sure.
But
No,
what
it makes
Kanye
sense.
did, Kanye decided, well, hate isn't working, right? Because what's hate doing? It's not working. So he decided, you know what? Let me try love. Let me see how love is. Let me see how that works out. That's what he's doing, wearing the Trump hat and sounding like a fool to the mass majority of people. He's just evolved and advanced. And it's not that he loves Trump more than he would have loved Hillary. He's
Mhm.
just in a state of love. And the state of love means no separation between you and me, all of me, your enemy, everybody. So just because he supports Trump doesn't mean he's going against his own people. It
Mhm.
just means he's evolved enough, like Jesus, to love his enemies. Now,
Interesting.
think about that.
Interesting. No, I like that. That's a good breakdown.
No, he actually said it himself too on a TV show that I don't know if a lot of people watch it, but he actually said this because he goes on rants, and when he's on a rant, he's amped, he's like excited, and sometimes he doesn't explain things so that most people can understand. When he was in not so amped state. Someone was interviewing him. I think Charlemagne was interviewing him, and most people didn't catch this clip, but Kanye was just saying, hate didn't work, so I'm trying love. How come the media didn't show that? Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting. I didn't know that quote existed. I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, because the media, I mean, thrives off drama, and he makes money with drama too, because people thought he's crazy and gone off the deep end, and then his sales for his shoes and music blew up. Just like with the R. Kelly thing came out, his music was streamed more on Spotify.
Right.
Even though it wasn't a very good depiction of R. Kelly. But yeah, bad marketing is good marketing. Any marketing is good marketing because it's attention.
Right.
So yeah, that's a good example. For me, it's a good example of love because it's looked down upon and because people are asleep and don't really understand the real idea of love. The real idea of love is inclusive. So that starts within. If you love yourself, you can love others, including an enemy.
I like that. No, that makes complete sense, actually.
Yeah.
I never would have thought it that way. But yeah, and once you break it down,
and you're so much better in a relationship. Like if you're talking about like a partnership, you love yourself. That means you love all of yourself. You're good, bad, and ugly. That means you do the same thing for your partner. That means if your partner screws up and doesn't put all the dishes in the dishwasher, you're not going to go off the deep end and say, what the hell's wrong with you? You're so lazy, blah, blah, blah. No, because you're coming from a love place because you love yourself. You might laugh and say, oh, you left the dishes in the sink again, and laugh about it, but you're not going to go off on them. You're not going to judge them because you're coming from a place of love.
Right. You can accept other person's flaws because you accept yours.
Exactly. So yes, self-love is so fundamental, so important. It is really the epitome of power in this world, because if you have self-love, you can do anything.
Right.
You really can. You can be successful in anything. You can do anything. The world opens up to you.
Okay. I like that. That's really interesting. Do you think that people sometimes might use dating to try to boost their self-confidence? Like, do you think that they go after somebody just to make themselves feel good rather than working on themselves first before going after a certain person that they want to be around?
Yes, of course. I do believe that. And again, it's not all people.
No.
But it is people that are probably struggling to find their own self-love. They have to be validated externally. They have to hear it externally from someone else, or have someone show them that they're worthy, instead of looking within and then dating as just an extra piece of happiness and fulfillment.
Sure.
Because you have a lot of love to give, not because you're trying to receive a lot of love. See, it becomes really different once you have that self-love aspect down. Then you look at dating like, I'm trying to find a partner I can build with, so and I have a lot of love to give, instead of I need to find a partner to show me and tell me how much they love me, because I need that validation constantly, so that I feel good about myself. You see how if you're giving the power to someone else. Your power is given to someone else, and you're at the mercy of that person to make or break your day every day. You're at the mercy of how that dating app is going to treat you every day if you're looking externally for that kind of validation. So yes, they are out there. Yes, they do that. No, they are not happy people. Even if they think they are, they're probably just going for the oxytocin boost and the boost of hormones that they get by receiving a text back or a message back. Some sort of validation gets them really quick rush of adrenaline, and it makes them feel good for a moment, like a drug,
Right. No, that makes sense. I see that, man. I get that. That makes sense. that quick rush of adrenaline or something that you get from somebody giving you attention, for 5 minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
that gives you that rush.
Yeah.
And it makes sense why people like that. It makes sense why people almost would rather have that sometimes even a little bit more than trying to stick with it and dig deeper into somebody else.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, long-term love is more fulfilling.
Hmm.
And but if they have never experienced it, they don't really know what they're missing. So then they just seek out the short-term boosts of the rush that they get from releasing those hormones from someone
And that
returning a text or returning attention to them or a match, you
hmm
know.
and
So,
that word right there is the one that I enjoy most, is fulfillment. I think that should be kind of the ultimate goal of a human being in general. You want to feel fulfilled, not even just in relationships, but with I mean just your life in general. But relationships have a big part of it, because obviously if you have someone that's going to stick by your side for the rest of your life, I mean
yeah.
you would want that fulfillment to be there, because happiness is one thing, but fulfillment is another step.
Fulfillment's the ultimate. Fulfillment, fulfillment means that there's no better feeling than
There's
being
nothing.
fulfilled.
There's nothing
Really.
left to. There's nothing left to. You feel the best you've ever felt, probably, right?
It's like the tip of Maslow's hierarchy,
Yeah.
fulfillment.
Yeah.
So fulfillment's the ultimate. And, usually when something is the ultimate, that means it's a little harder to get, you
Hmm.
know, kind of like $1 billion. $1 billion, everybody wants $1 billion. Do you think
Hmm.
it's easy to get $1 billion? No, it's going to take work. But once you get that $1 billion, how rewarded are you going to feel? You're going to feel pretty rewarded. You're going
Yeah.
to be like, wow, that's awesome. But you know what's crazy? And I'm friends with billionaires, and I'm also friends with brand new billionaires that actually had a
Hmm.
breakdown, because once they hit a billion, they're like, well, but now what? I don't have love. I have no one to share this with. They actually got depressed when they got a
Right.
billion dollars. So it's work to have that fulfillment of love and a relationship, but it's so worth it, because that reward you get from hard work, when it really pays off, that alone is fulfillment. That alone is like, wow, I did this. I did this. And ultimately, we are really here for fulfillment. Like, why else are we here on planet Earth?
Right.
We're not here to struggle.
Yeah.
We're here to feel good. So why not be fulfilled? Not just seek out the little, the hormone releases we get from temporary crap, but
Mm.
the actual fulfillment that keeps you happy day in and day out, even during struggle.
Right. And I think you can't even. I mean, you can't quantify fulfillment. I mean, everyone's description of fulfillment for themselves is different, and that's
100%.
yeah. It's all up to you to figure out what your point or your peak of fulfillment is.
Well, I mean, again, I'm going to refer back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Hmm.
Connection is just right above having our basic needs like food and shelter met.
Hmm.
And so it's vital.
Yeah.
Like, we need it to be fulfilled human beings.
Mm.
We even for people that are in denial and say, "Oh, I don't need relationships and I don't need love." They're full of crap. And they're probably in a very asleep state, and they haven't done the inner work, and they probably ultimately feel like they don't deserve it.
Mhm.
That's usually what's underneath the "I don't want it." No, you do want it. Everybody wants it. You're just asleep to the fact that you don't feel like you deserve it.
Mm.
So what can you do to help with that? Self-love. Self-love work. Read self-help books. Fix the inner mantras from negative self-talk to positive self-talk. Don't compare yourself to other people. Those things you can do to help with self-love.
Very good. Yeah, I agree. That's awesome. That's actually part of, I mean, the whole fulfillment piece and all that. That's part of what I preach here at Get Back Up to. So it makes sense that that's what we got into.
That's great.
I like how the conversation went towards that because that's exactly how I think too.
Great.
Kind of back to that self-confidence, self-love topic. Um, when you have that self-love and that self-confidence, and you are, just a single person that is, maybe looking for something, but maybe not really looking. They're just kind of out there. How attractive is that to somebody else, men or women? Like do you feel like that is kind of the ultimate attraction, self-confidence, self-love?
Yeah, of course. Self-confidence is so important in every way.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about an insecure person and how many problems they cause in a relationship. Because they're insecure, it's kind of like misery loves company, if you think
Mm-hmm.
about it that way. Like for example, the reason why men really love confident women is because men like their freedom, and insecure women are threatened by a man's freedom. So,
Mm-hmm.
like a man wants to have boy time, for example, an insecure woman will think that you don't want to spend time with her. Like,
Right.
baby, what did I do? You don't want to spend time with me? What did I do? And a
Sure.
confident woman, in contrast, will be like, "Oh, you're gonna go out with your boys? Oh, cool. Well, have fun. I'll call up my girls and see what they're up to."
Sure.
She's not gonna take it internally hard, like, what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
So an insecure person plays on your livelihood in a relationship, and it affects the other partner in every way. It affects the other partner. So of course, men are going to look for confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So women look for confidence for other reasons. Women look for confidence because they want a man that has his crap together, and they want a
Mm-hmm.
man that basically knows how to rule his kingdom and take care of his family and protect. And usually insecure men, um, a woman will interpret that as he's a joker. He doesn't really know how to rule a kingdom. He's no king. He won't know how to provide and protect our family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's not sexy.
Right.
So those are the reasons why confidence is very important, because there's specific traits that men and women look for in a relationship, and confidence is a huge factor in those traits.
Sure. It all kind of comes back to that.
Yes,
The smaller traits, it all kind of reverts back to the self-confidence.
of course. Yes, they do.
Now, and I know there's a fine line between self-confidence and arrogance. What do you feel is kind of that over the line into the arrogance side of things for both men and women?
Arrogant people are actually insecure people
Okay.
because they're overcompensating for their insecurities.
Sure.
So again, that goes back to self-love. If you
Mm-hmm.
really love yourself, you won't sound arrogant, because you won't be trying hard for people
Mm-hmm.
to like you. Because when you really love yourself, the question isn't who will like me. The
Mm-hmm.
question is, who will I like when you walk into a room? And
Gotcha.
that's real confidence. An arrogant person wants people to like them because they're insecure. So they're overcompensating with, I'm the best. I'm
Mm-hmm.
awesome. You, whatever, but me. Because they know that confident people are like fake confidence of an insecure person. Confidence is real. I mean, someone's connected to themselves. They love themselves, and it's exuding externally. People can feel that connection to themselves. They can feel that they don't have the insecurities a lot of other people do, you know? And would you consider, I have a question, Nick. Would you
Yeah.
consider me to be arrogant or confident?
Oh, I definitely see you as confident.
Confident. Why do you say that?
Because because just like you said, you're not overcompensating. The way I see it is you believe firmly in what you say, and it's not trying to show off. You just
Right.
you actually just believe in the words that you speak, and you just hold yourself to this standard of I know who I am, and
Yeah.
that's the way that's the way I see
Thank
confidence.
you.
And yeah.
And I agree with you because I have worked on myself for over a decade, so long. I've been on the self-help spiritual path for over 15 years. I
Hmm.
first heard of Tony Robbins like 15 years ago. Does that age me? I'm sorry.
No, no, not at
So,
all.
so basically, right before I started this self-help journey, I was a little arrogant because I was insecure.
Hmm.
And I didn't notice and didn't recognize it. What actually helped me was going to acting class. And I had people put me in my place.
Hmm.
Because when you're in front of the stage and you're in front of an audience, you're in front of TV, people will notice every insecure about you. And so they were like, you're wearing a mask, you have control issues, you have this Christianity shame kind of thing going on. I was like, I do? Oh my God. I was like mortified.
Hmm.
Like, but I'm so awesome. What are you talking about? But really, I went home crying. Like, I suck. I'm awful. No one likes me.
Right.
And the switch I had in my mind was these people have nothing to gain by, lying,
Hmm.
and nothing to gain by telling me the truth either. They're
Hmm.
just giving me real live feedback as strangers watching me talk.
Hmm.
So that was my switch. I was like, wow. And what do I do? I asked my acting coach, well, what do I do? I have these issues, and I'll admit that. I dropped my ego, I let it go. And
Hmm.
then I said, what do I do? And she said, you need to start the spiritual path, the journey of self-love. I'm like, damn, that's deep. How do I do that? She just started suggesting some books,
Yep.
like Power of Now, Healing Yourself, Lewis Hay House.
Hmm.
Um, she suggested, listening to Tony Robbins and
Hmm.
you know, a lot of self-help, motivational speaker stuff. So yeah, that was my start, and ever since, I realized, and you don't have to like tell yourself to be humble either. It's all just natural when
Hmm.
you're secure within who you are. You're just naturally confident. You don't have to tell yourself, "Oh, be humble," "Oh, be confident." It just comes out. It's just natural. It's just who
Right.
you are. You're just a confident person. When you're
Right.
being confident, that means you probably have insecurities and you're probably actually sounding arrogant to people.
I like that. That makes sense. Yeah, I kind of went through that too. Last couple of years, I've been really getting into the self-help, self-love books, and one of my favorites is Simon Sinek. I mean, he's big into that too, and his Find Your Why.
Mm,
That was kind of the one that changed that kind of changed my mindset. I've always been a pretty optimistic person,
mm,
but figuring out what my why was, like why am I living? What is the point of my life on Earth?
right,
That changed a lot of the way I thought and the way that I, you know, saw life and took on life. And
right.
then listening to I don't know, Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary
Gary's
V.
Gary's hilarious.
He
He's like,
has
fuck
that.
this and fuck that.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like, yeah, go Gary.
it's great. He's
He's
just
so
real.
passionate.
Because but it was his empathy, his word empathy. That was the one. That was when he started getting into when he started preaching empathy was
Yep.
when that was when I realized, well, that word hits deep and it hits home. And if you can kind of learn what empathy is and how to exude empathy, um, man, it changes you. It makes you just feel like you have more self-worth
Yep.
than what you ever thought before. So I agree
I
with you.
agree.
It's getting onto that path is sometimes is difficult from the back end of it. You go through something traumatic or you realize that you're not as cool as you thought you were. but
Like
but
I
yeah,
realized I wasn't as cool
I
as I
know,
thought.
and I get it. I did it too. You
Yeah.
just realize You thought you think you're hot shit, and then something hits you in the face and makes you look stupid, and you're like, oh, I don't want to look like that again. And then you kind of figure it out.
Ultimately what that is dissolving the ego.
Right.
Because your ego gets in the way. Like, what is up with men? I'm sorry, men. I love you guys. I do. Because if I didn't, I would be a lesbian, and sometimes I wish I could be a lesbian. But I love you, men. And that's why I try to help you with my work. But your male ego's got to go. Man, male ego can be the single most destructible force on planet Earth. It gets in the way of your own success, your own happiness, and you still hold tight to it. Like, why? Why? I want to shake people sometimes. Like, oh, your ego.
Like it's not doing anything but hurting people. It's like
it doesn't do any good for yourself and others. Literally no good. All destructive.
Yep.
But they want to hold on to it. Like, and a good example of that is I teach love, and I do help men learn what women want. Because guess what? Newsflash, I'm a woman. Oh, I'm a woman. And guess what men do? They want to argue with me about what women want. Well, women don't want to be pursued. But you're telling me as a woman what women want as a man? Wow. The male ego.
Right.
Is something. And the reason they're saying that is because they have an ego, because they tried to pursue a woman and she didn't respond.
Right.
So then they protect themselves, and they're like, oh, women don't like that.
It's not my fault. It's her fault.
It's not, it's her. No, dude.
It's her fault.
No.
She didn't want me because there's something wrong with her.
Yeah, it's all her. It's women. They don't know what they want.
Right.
No, I am a woman. Okay? 100%. I was born this way. I didn't have surgeries to become a woman. I'm a woman. I have estrogen. I have more estrogen than you men. Therefore, I'm different. And I'm helping you understanding what's going on inside a female mind. And it's so interesting how I triggered men when I said women want to be pursued. But guess what? The right kind of woman that you wants to be pursued.
Mm-hmm.
Not the weak women that don't know who they are and have insecurities that will cause issues in a relationship. It's real women that are secure within themselves, that have done inner work on themselves. They want to be pursued. They do.
Mm-hmm.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I am speaking from a woman's point of view that has done tons of research on this topic, and I know what it does to our vaginas. Guess what? I have a vagina. So I know what it does to our vaginas when we get pursued. I don't have to guess. I don't have to look at scientific studies. I feel it. Right? And the male ego wants to be like, no, you don't. Women don't like that. Wow.
How would you know,
way
right?
of your happiness by listening to your ego. Blows my mind.
They want, and the women that do want to be pursued, they want to be pursued respectfully, right?
Oh, of course. I mean, yes. Of course. Like,
I mean, it sounds so simple, right? But it's just
have common sense. Like, I can write a book on the little side notes and footnotes on, what kind of woman wants to be pursued and how you should pursue her. It'd take forever. I should write a book. But
you need to.
I only have like a 1 minute to post on social media, and I only have so much time with you, on this podcast, then I'm going to make it as short and concise as possible and say, as a man, you need to pursue a woman. Even when you're married and in a relationship, you need to pursue your partner. Because that's what keeps the love alive. That's what keeps your sex rocking. That's what keeps the passion hot.
Nice.
Hot as fuck. Like, why would you compromise on that? Like,
right.
And then complain about sex. Like, how come she doesn't have sex with me? Well, have you pursued her? Have you given her romance lately? Have you taken her on a date? Like, let's have some common sense,
Yep.
And then if you're just not understanding the topic, then learn about it. hire me
Mm-hmm.
as your love mentor and dating coach. I can teach you how if you don't know how.
Do it.
It's kind
Hire
of
her.
like saying, I really want a nice body, but I don't have to work out to get it, do I? I don't
Right.
have to get a personal trainer to learn how to work out, do I? Okay, you can go fumble around at the gym and bruise your ego if you don't know what you're doing and people laugh at you. Or you can hire a personal trainer and they can show you what to do. There shouldn't be any excuses. Again, it's the male ego. The
Right.
male ego is keeping you from having that body you want. The male ego is keeping you from that woman that you desire, that maxim model that you've been checking out for years. It's keeping you from becoming that billionaire because then you're going to have excuses about that. Oh, I'm
That's
not
right.
going to pay attention to astrology charts. I don't believe in astrology. Oh, really? Warren Buffett does. Billionaires do.
Yep.
They study charts because it's logical future telling, because it will actually tell the future. Because the weather and the weather and all the seasons affect our mood, and that's affected by planetary alignment. And our moods kind of affect our day and kind of affect our life. And you want to say that planetary alignment has no effect on you or me or us as a collective? What, you're broke? Oh, okay. I'm going to listen to Warren Buffett on this one. Okay? Drop that male ego and learn. You're only keeping yourself from being happy. Male
Invest in
egos.
yourself.
Let go. And there's female egos too. I'm not going to say it's just a male thing, but males definitely have a tougher time with the egos than women do. They just do. Statistically shows that men just have a harder time dropping the egos than women do. It's just how it is. But women, of course, they have it, and when women have it, it tends to be a masculine energy.
Right.
So egos on both ends of the spectrum need to be dropped for you to become really truly happy in this world.
Right. Right. I agree. Invest in yourself, right?
Yeah, of course. Like there's no better investment than you. You've been here since you were born with yourself, and you're gonna be here with yourself until you die.
Yep. I like that. No, that totally makes sense. Man, that was good.
Good. I'm
I
glad.
like that rant. That was a good rant.
You like my rant?
I like it.
Good. I'm glad you like it, Nick.
I'm sure everyone else does too. Seriously.
I hope you guys like it. I have some people listening. Some people are sticking with me on Instagram Live. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I got Amerinica Diaz laughing, emojis crying eyes. So thank you.
That's good. Hey, you're getting response.
Oh, good.
That's awesome. Well, we've been talking for a while, so I wanna kind of wrap this up.
Okay.
So you can get back to your life and whatever you're doing. And I really appreciate you coming on. That was an awesome. I love that conversation. That's what I hope my podcast can give, is just more of a conversation rather than like, tell me about yourself, like an interview. Like it's more of I want it to be more of a conversation, because I feel like a conversation is more appealing to people than just a robotic question and answer. So
right.
So I appreciate you coming on. That was fun. I had a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me, Nick. I appreciate it.
Now tell me where you can be contacted again if people are interested in your really anything, whether it's Love Mentor or whether it's crypto currency stuff or anything else. What's a good you have a website they can go to look up information?
I have a few websites. So if you want to work with me on investments, you go to thecryptogoddess.com. If you want to learn more about my love mentor and dating coach services, go to lovementorchelsea.com. If you can't afford at this moment an initial consultation with me, a cheaper option is to buy my courses. And I have one course that should be uploaded, if not today, then by tomorrow, on 7 steps on how to save your relationship. And this teaches